Welcome, you with the nasty pastor, and I'm back with another read from out of the fall of America. Look, we're entering chapter 21, and the title of chapter 21 is Destruction of America's Education. You get it? Now, reading that title, how you can take that? How can you take that? You get it? When you think of the noun, what are they going to do? Destroy the education system? You get what I'm saying? Which meaning that our future, the generations of our future is what? What, they're going to be ignorant? They're going to be ignorant? Come on now. Come on. If this chapter, because I haven't dived in yet, if this chapter is about our school system, if this chapter is about how they're going to strip education from our babies, from our generations to come, don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time to stand up, start fighting now, start getting in these council, in these city council we call them town hall meetings here. It's time to get in these meetings, and it's time to go to these school board meetings and press the issue that you're going to teach my child. You're going to teach my baby. You're going to have the resources to teach my child. Education should be in the top 5 of any politician agenda. You get what I'm saying? Any politician's agenda. And honestly, it should be in the first 3. You give me the first 3 out of all. My first one is protect and serve. You gotta have a sufficient police department. Next, you have to be able to educate, have the resources to educate our babies. Look, let's dive into this reading and give me a minute. Give me just a minute. Oh, I think this is the biggest chapter ever. You know what I mean? This is the biggest chapter I done came across right here. So we're going to be in this for a while. And, my readings are pre-recorded. And this is months, pre-recorded. So right now in America, education, the funding of education is being stripped from the government and turned over to the state. How many of y'all are in a state where you could see that there is how to put it, the state is broke. There's no way of figuring out how you're going to fund these schools. These schools need lights. They need running water, which hopefully the water is free. Hopefully the water is free and there's not a water bill. I know there's an electric bill, and I'm hoping that the government will pay the electric bill. You understand what I'm saying? I hope their funding will pay the electric bill, the maintenance, the upkeep of these schools, and the state would just have to figure out how to provide books. You understand what I'm saying? Books. How they will have to pay these teachers to come in and teach. You understand what I'm saying? Hopefully only that part will be put upon the state, and hopefully the government will always provide upkeep of these buildings, and as far as the necessity of lights, electricity, heat, air conditioning, they will always provide that. And hopefully they will keep a wide eye on the funding they are providing to these schools, because there are thieves in our school system. There are thieves. You understand what I'm saying? Thieves. I remember a time when I was in school, we had to keep our coat on. I remember a time when I was in school, elementary school, our basement was really flooded. You get what I'm saying? Flooded. And we had 3 floors. We had a basement, the first floor, and we had the second floor. So how many classrooms was water leaking in for the basement to be flooded? Anyway, let's dive into this reading. And like I said, the title is Destruction of America's Education. The plague of Allah against the educational system of America is something that the philosophers and scientists should look into. As the destruction of America's education is the destruction of their wisdom to educate the people, there are many who look on the destruction without taking a second thought of the destruction, without taking a second thought of the destruction of America's education. Education is a guide for the people to keep and maintain a civilized life. It is education that civilizes us. Now, to see the citizens of America rebelling against the American educational system is something that the wise of the wise should take thought of. The American people actually have come to the point where they hate their own educational system. This means that they are now hating and destroying their civilization, because it is education that civilizes people. Knowledge. You get it? The American people no longer want their education, and they are destroying the very houses that house their textbooks of education. They are rebelling against their teachers, and then they set their houses on fire. Schools, colleges, and universities. This means, in words, as I have said above, that they are destroying their own civilization. I ask you again, you know what I mean? What I'm seeing, what I'm hearing when I look at the news. You get what I'm saying? Some of these teachers that's being appointed, they don't know how to teach these kids. You get it? They don't. Right here in Richmond, Virginia, and this is the first time I've ever heard of this. And like I said, I'm 55. You get what I'm saying? But right here in Richmond, Virginia, right down the street from me, we have a school that is now called Martin Luther King. It used to be called Mosby Middle, and it's still a middle school. There was a teacher there that called one of the kids a nigger. You understand what I'm saying? And I believe it was a black woman. I believe I met this woman when I was in class for my GED. And if I'm correct, she's of the black race. And she called this little boy, I think it was a little boy, she called him a nigger. Yes, they took on up out the school. They got on up out the school because the mother complained. You understand what I'm saying? But my biggest thing is this right here, man. If you could complain about the teacher calling your son a nigger or your daughter a nigger, stand up and complain about the other things that's going on in that school, please. Because I'm telling you, I had to fight for my son-in-law. They ain't want to teach him. He had a learning disability. And then he's easily distracted. You got what I'm saying? And me as a disabled person, you understand what I'm saying? I was disabled at the time. I had to get up, I had to go to these schools, and I had to fight for his education. You understand what I'm saying? And I meant what I told that principal. You're going to teach my son-in-law. You're going to figure a way to teach him. And they figured it. Yeah, he had 2 teachers. His classroom settings, they were small. They were set up where there's really not a lot of distractions. They was able to reach him. They was able to, help him along with his attention span. And this is the thing, right? Don't think me and his mom weren't at home teaching him, because we was. So don't think we was not backing everything that was going on in school because we was. You get what I'm saying? We needed the school to back us. If that is the correct way to say it, because we were doing this before he was put in school. You understand what I'm saying? You get it? You know, so I say this to you once again, you know, stand up. Stand up for your babies. You get it? Because see, they'll push your baby along. You know, they'll pass your child. You know, they'll skip, promote your child along, and your child is ignorant. You understand what I'm saying? Your child ignorant. Because see, at one time, it was about numbers, keeping a school credited. You understand what I'm saying? As long as you have a high graduation rate, as long as you have a high promotion to the next grade rate, yeah, you get extra money for that school. You get what I'm saying? But what are you pushing along? An ignorant child. And it's not just that one child, it's several of them. So you're doing what? You're doing what? Come on now. Let's do this the right way. These kids are our future. And we need to have educated leaders in the forefront of this world. Do you want an ignorant, unintelligent person sitting in the White House? There's a war brewing and they don't know how to either come at peace with this war or how to be at the forefront of this war. Come on, man. They'll end up letting the enemy into our front door, alive, living, walking around, destroying every community out here until America is completely exterminated. You get it? You understand it? Wake up. Look at what's going on. Look at what's really going on with your babies. Pay attention. Stop consuming yourself with a 9-to-5 job. Stop consuming yourself with that man, with that woman, with these drugs. You understand what I'm saying? With that idiot box that's sit up on your wall. Stop consuming yourself with those things of distraction and focus on the education of your child. Get that out the way. That way you ain't got to worry about that no more. Once your child understands how to research, how to listen, how to process, you don't have to worry about that no more because technology is so advanced. A child can get on a computer, can get on their phone and research how to do any school work that is given. But if you never teach your child these steps of research, these steps of studying, what have you done? What have you really done? And to be honest, school education starts at home first. Everything starts at home first. We are responsible. When we send these kids off to these schools, these teachers, these principals, these counselors, they're responsible for the time that child is at their school. Stand up as a parent. You get what I'm saying? Stand up. Make them teach your baby. Make them have resources for your baby. I don't care that just because you and your child live in a minority community, a community of poverty, does not mean your child does not deserve the best education that can be provided. Understand me. Understand me. Stop allowing the funding to go into communities. You get me? Communities that already have a percentage of wealth. You understand what I'm saying? That's out of the poverty level. And you know what the excuse is? You know what the main factor why it's so hard to fight the school system in the areas of poverty, of discredited schools, because of the word credited. If your school is not credited, then we don't have the funding for you. There's no way you can get the funding. And the funding can be having the best teachers there that know how to teach your child, that know how to reach your children. You understand what I'm saying? You ever seen some of these teachers of the day? Some of these substitute teachers of the day, they junkies. You understand what I'm saying? They get high. Yeah, I said you get high. Anywho, anyway, you've been with the nasty pastor. Look, stick with me. This gonna be a good read. And like I said, this is the biggest chapter I've came across. I love you, and I'm out.